Sorry, I did not know I was doing this right now. I was not prepared.
Would you like me to interview myself?
Oh, what question would you like to ask yourself? You blew me because I had not done any preparation for this. The only thing I would know is that I actually think we've met before.
Yeah.
Because I worked on District 9.
Okay.
And I'm pretty certain that I met you on set once long ago.
Yeah, I was on set I was only on set twice.
Yeah, it was like really quick, because you look really familiar and the accent is very distinct.
Yeah.
But you know Phil, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did some time over a workshop together as well. So
okay.
I might have honestly seen you at some something then
Wellington,
too. So
there's only 4 people who live
there
there.
are exactly 4 people. 2 of them are imports from the U.S. and one's a European.
And I'm South African, so
so there's
I
no
don't
Kiwis.
really know
There's no
what happened
Kiwis
to
in
all
Wellington at all. So welcome.
Thank you.
I assume that anyone watching this will probably know who you are by now.
Well, maybe.
recognizable.
Riverdale's in its first season, so it's growing. And I play Penelope, the villain, the gothic villain. And I think they would recognize me, though I see Penelope doing a lot more in season 2.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
But you can't talk about that.
Well, I can tell you things like we're going a lot darker, although I was pretty dark to begin with. I mean, season 1 is about the death of my son, which I was then suspected of being his murderer. Spoiler alert, I was not. Thank goodness, otherwise I wouldn't be in season 2, so that was a happy day for me. So that was pretty dark already, but we're the gothic kind of, I always saw us as a bit of an Addams family. We live in the dark mansion on the hill.
Right.
It's all very kind of
that sort of dark shadows
mysterious. Pardon?
It's a really unique concept. So when you're approached to say something like this, like we're taking a happy-go-lucky sort of
yes,
thing that people
very
love,
squeaky
yeah,
clean,
very,
50s, perfect
very,
suburbia.
very perfect, and going so dark,
yeah.
so fast. I mean, it starts off with like you're expecting an Archie comic essentially, and you get hit with it from the beginning. No question, when you come on screen, it's dark right from the start.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Like when they approach you with that, saying you're going to be in a live action Archie comic, but with murder and sex, and it's going to be.
I mean, I'm all for that because there's so much good content at the moment. So to go from perfect 50s suburbia, the Archie comic that I read in South Africa, which was during the apartheid years, which was all about well-to-do upper class white aspirations, and so that's why we got the Archie comics. Everything else was censored.
That's so it was allowed.
Yeah, so I was a huge fan of the Archie comics, but it was all very, very superficial, and so not only in the sense that it didn't show any other ethnicities and any other kind of socioeconomic groups, it didn't show anything interesting in terms of the relationships. There's a guy between 2 girls, and it's one's winning, and they're always kind of like fighting each other, which is we don't want to see that anymore. So at the moment, what I'm watching, and just going back to like what you need to kind of compete with as a series, like I am watching Peaky Blinders, I'm watching Fargo, Marcella, this is amazing TV. That we're in the golden age of TV, so you can't come in with like, oh, we're all so happy. But also, it was 75 years of Archie comics, so it was really well timed. And Archie comics have also gone dark as well. So Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, he's the showrunner into EP on Riverdale, but he's also the creative director of the graphic novel Archie.
Right.
And so that's gone into Zombieland. It's gone into all kinds of it's beautiful and dark, and it's a whole restyling. So I think he was part of that, and then became the head of that whole new pathway. And so it wasn't that big of a stretch to come to Riverdale, but I know that they did kind of go, we need a body.
Yeah.
And so that was the launch point, where it was kind of, okay, let's take these characters and we're going to go dark. We're going to go with the murder, but also we're going to cast it so that it's covers the ethnic range, spectrum, and includes gay characters, and the the fight between Betty and Veronica is actually not a fight anymore. They're actually they're millennials, and they're supportive. And if anything, the guys are fighting for attention in a story sense, because the women were driving the storylines in season 1, which is awesome.
I think it's unique because not a lot of shows are adapting to that. Yeah.
I think we're way ahead in TV than film.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm very hopeful. I mean, if you look at the latest season of Fargo, Kirsten Dunst's character is just insane.
Insane.
But inspired. And you're just like, who wrote that? That's fantastic. Peaky Blinders is very male-dominated, but the female characters are fantastic.
Very strong.
Strong and multi-layered. What else about? I mean, you look at House of Cards. That's a two-hander completely. I'm just trying to think what the other series is that I've been watching recently that just kicked ass. It'll come to me. But yeah, so along those lines, I think TV is going in the right direction.
It's interesting you mentioned House of Cards, because when I was watching your performance, I was actually drawing parallels to the Claire character. With the quiet intensity. Yeah. You both had that sort of that plotting death stare that it melts ice. It's quite intense.
Yeah, she was actually used as a reference by the director.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So what was it about that particular character that attracted you to it?
Well, I mean, Penelope was an interesting character in that I didn't have much information about her. Okay. We were the creeps. We were the creepy family, the Blossoms, And so for me, it was always, there was an Addams family element to that, and then delving a bit deeper, Claire in House of Cards was the reference. But I think just in the writing, like what I was given, it's your son is dead. You are saying incredibly vile things to your daughter. And you're dressed like sort of the mummy dearest. Oh no, the other reference that I had was a Hitchcock movie, Mrs. Danvers in.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Oh.
Yes.
I can see
That's
that.
What
Yes.
it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
and
makes
it's
sense.
funny. That's like so entrenched now. I almost forgot.
Just in even the mannerism, that makes complete sense.
Yes, and if you watch Rebecca is the film, isn't it? And then, so if you watch the clips that you can find, the main sort of clips, she's all, it's all buttoned up to the top. Her hair is incredibly neat. It's black and white as well, which is wonderful. But what she does is she speaks in this voice that is, so she's more Britishy, but it's a very kind of velvety, monotone kind of voice. And gradually she's just encouraging Rebecca to kill herself. Yeah. There's this one fantastic scene where they're looking out of the window, and Rebecca's becoming more and more stressed out. It's basically a story of she's in love with this man, and Mrs. Danvers is the housekeeper who doesn't want a new wife. Right. And so they're looking out of this window, and Rebecca's losing it, and Mrs. Danvers is going, "It would be so easy. It's not far. You could do it. Just do it." You're like, yeah, kill yourself. You can see she's really considering it, and that's pretty much where we took Cheryl. You know,
that makes a lot of sense. And now that you've drawn the parallel for me, I can also see the attraction to it.
Yeah, and I mean, what a great thing to play a villain. I mean, I haven't played a lot of villains. Yeah. I've often been cast in District 9. I play the kind of the authority figure. In that case, I was in District 9. I was the.
Sorry.
I got kids with lightsabers.
Children ruin everything. Don't have
it.
kids. Sorry. No, that's fine.
Yeah, but
sorry about that.
One of the many things that attracted me was the villain role, because I haven't played a lot of villain roles. Yes. So in District 9, I played an authority figure again. I was an authority on the aliens and their situation. And I played journalists and I played politicians, but like a real dark villain who is just driven by anger and venom. This was my first time doing that, and I've got to say, it's so much fun.
Is it sort of cathartic to be able to take all that angst that you would get and just pour it into work?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the opposite of giving your energy in whatever other role, and then at the end of the day needing to kind of collapse and go, I'm exhausted from all the crying and the stuff that women often are expected to do. All that emoting. and being in love with men. And now you just, I just kind of, get rid of all of the frustration and anger. And at the end of the day, I'm energized, I'm good to run a marathon.
Nice.
so I think, poor Madeline Petch, who plays Cheryl, I think there were days where she was just like, what the hell just happened? And I'm like, well, I'm feeling great. I don't know about you. But yeah, we found our groove, but I think she felt like maybe I was, doing therapy upon her. And maybe I was. I probably was. I think I'm just confessing that I definitely was.
Exclusive.
Sorry, Madeline.
Well, that's actually a good point. So when you're in those scenes, and we've talked to people before who've had those moments where you get in full character, and you're looking at this person that, like in this case, your daughter in the show, where you're really just brutal.
And you don't even know the half of it because so many of these scenes are cut short.
Right. That is a horrifying thought. I think, because you seem lovely, but I wouldn't want you screaming at me like that.
You wouldn't want to meet me in a dark alley. Luckily, I'm also
not
much smaller.
Not dressed like that, because that would be really creepy.
You gotta be careful. She might make you play Ella or something.
I'll try. Whatever. I'm game. When you finish a scene like that, because some character, when you get full method and you're in it, do you stay, or do you like switch off and you're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry?
I think it's never that easy to switch off, even if you think you have.
Right.
Because I came back, so I'm based in Wellington a lot of the time in New Zealand, and I came back from playing Penelope for, what was it, sort of 6 months. And a lot of it is here, it's this tension in the neck. I've got this wonderful bulging vein that comes out when I'm really angry. And you hold it in your shoulders. Also, we were bloody freezing because it was through this really weird climate change inspired snow fall that went on for months, and we were often outside. And then you finally relax. And my body just kind of fell to pieces. I was just kind of like, what has happened to my spine, And that was from holding Penelope the whole time. And then you kind of go, oh, yeah, no, I didn't let that go, did I? Yeah. And so it's taken about 3 months to relax. Massage, just, okay, let it go. But yeah.
I was going to say, the jaw is got to be a thing. Because in the character, you're...
there's a lot of tension in your mouth, and also the way you're dressed, it's all part of that process. I mean, I've sort of done a version of that for Comic-Con, but I'm all in tweeds, and they said, it's like royalty, and the hair's scraped back, so you're very school marmy, and sitting very straight, and so it's tension all round. It's tension and holding that tension, and then letting it explode occasionally,
which is the fun part.
That's the fun part.
So what's next? Obviously, hopefully this will continue, because it is a well-received show. It's doing very well.
Yeah. Thank goodness. We were also, you always want to believe your show is it's going to hit the right spot, but you never know. And Riverdale really has, so that's fantastic. And I think so. What's coming up? There are so many characters to include, so there's going to be more characters coming into the show. Hiram Lodge has been cast, and he's come into it. And so we'll see, he's like the wheeler dealer businessman, so we'll see what he gets up to. F.P. Jones is coming out of, I know he's a main player in the gangs, the Serpents, so he's going to be doing his own version of wheeling and dealing, and then Jughead has apparently joined a gang, because that's what happened at the end of season 1. He put the jacket on, so we'll have to see. Archie's going to go to a dark place because his dad's been attacked, and for Penelope, well, a lot happened at the end of season 1. My daughter tried to kill herself, and then she set our house on fire. So it also looks like we've lost our business.
Right.
So the maple syrup business, they showed all of the end there was not just a maple syrup business, but the police are onto what it truly was. So I don't know that I don't know what we've got to start season 2, but it's not what we had. Also, we've lost 2 members of the family, so it's a very interesting dynamic of the show. When I'd heard of it, but the initial description that was given to me, I thought, oh, it's a teenage drama. Yeah.
And then a friend of mine said, if you watch Sons of Anarchy, add a lot of money and take away the motorcycles, and it's the same thing. And he wasn't kidding. It really is. The intensity of it, of every character, is just constant peril.
And they
in one
pack
form
so
or another.
much in. Yeah. I think it's brilliantly edited, and the post-production's insane, so you're always on the edge of your seat. And we, the cast and crew and writers, we have these get-togethers, and we do the live tweeting at every episode, and so we get brought together in a room, and we've recorded these scenes. Yeah. And yet we're on the edge of our seats going, oh my goodness, and then at the end of it all, we'll kind of have to go, that was intense. And there was like 5 endings to the end of the season as well. So there's so much packed in. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a teen drama, of course, and it's super sexy. And, the cast are gorgeous and talented, and the styling's delicious and all of those things. But of course, there's then the other level, which is the parents who... generally in season 1 every single parent outside of Fred Andrews is completely insane. And so it's wonderful for the teenagers to kind of rally against that, and I suppose the audience with them going, yeah, adults are mental, don't believe a word they say. And then that's going to deepen now into maybe finding out a little bit more about why the adults are so mental. But I think it's a very smart and considered move that you have people like Luke Perry from the most massive teenage show of the time, Beverly Hills 90210, and then you have Mädchen Alec from Twin Peaks, which is they wanted that darkness and the body. So you're bringing that audience in as well, the big fans of those shows. So you've definitely got a 2-layer approach. It's not just a teen drama.
No, in the way visually, it definitely has this sort of modern film noir style.
Yeah.
The shadows are deep.
Yes.
And it does leave a lot to the imagination.
Yeah.
Just as a storyline. So you'll find as you're going through the plot, you can't help but think, I wonder if, as opposed to just being along for the ride. And I know what you mean about the pacing. We don't have a lot of time to watch stuff, so I usually watch movies and shows when I'm on the treadmill.
Yeah, right.
And that one, it keeps you going. Like
maybe running a little bit faster.
You're running a little faster, and you're like, wow, it's been a half hour and I'm dying. So the pace keeps going pretty well.
Yeah. Maybe we could use that as a new way of rating films that we're watching. Is,
how much the puddles of sweat that Daza has?
The kilowatts generated per hour.
We can do that. We can power the office with that.
How much did you burn?
It's absolutely, 200 calories per minute.
That's a good show.
That's our new system.
A real fat burner.
I'll incorporate that. So what's next for you besides the show? Do you have anything else that's coming up?
Yep, I do. I have 24 Hours to Live. It's a high-octane sci-fi thriller that I shot in South Africa with Ethan Hawke. And there's a couple other... I mean, it's got a lovely cast. Hakeem K. Kazim from 24 and Paul Anderson from Peaky Blinders and Liam Cunningham from Game of Thrones. And then there's Zhu Jing from... she's a Chinese star, so it was an interesting Chinese co-production. Nice. So it should have East-West appeal, which is fantastic. I play Dr. Helen, who gives Ethan Hawke's character 24 Hours to Live. And so it's like a real crank scenario of just like it's go. I've seen some of it when I did the ADR in LA, and it's just like, okay, just herring around Cape Town and just, it's super violent.
So I'll burn a lot of calories on that one.
Yeah, you may trip. I would maybe just occasionally
hold on to the rails.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's coming out, it was just screened at Cannes and hopefully coming out September, October.
Nice. And I believe I have to check in, but it got pretty good turnout in Cannes for the...
I don't actually know, and nothing's been released yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So...
And then, now there is one thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is up to you, how far you want to go with this, but I understand you wrote and directed a short film as well.
Well, I've written and directed two, but I know the one you're referring to is Vajazzle.
I wanted, because this has so many meanings in the title, and it could get a lot deeper than I expected. But could you give us a plot summary of this piece?
Absolutely. So Vajazzle is an outrageous revenge comedy about a woman who blings her pink thing to take revenge on her binge drinking boyfriend. And if you don't know what a vajazzle is, well, you should look it up. But basically, it's the denouement of your private parts, and then the prettyment, the enhancement via crystal attachments to make it shiny and
bling.
Yeah,
I said bling already, so shiny and...
It's blinging the nether region is what it is. I was assuming that was it, but I didn't want to...
Cute. Cute is a good word.
That's right.
But that's not all.
Well,
so it's about a woman who goes there, who does that thing, and her boyfriend has forgotten the special date, and so she takes revenge on him, and that's all you need to know. It's a comedy, and we re-release it, or re-encourage people to watch it every Valentine's Day, in case you've been stood up or something you want to just let them know about, not making you feel special. It is, however, available on rodrigofilms.com/Vajazzle, which is my film company, and so you can watch it anytime. And that's a very different side to Penelope. A
little less prim and proper.
A little less prim and proper, not quite so high with the collar.
Saucy.
And more cooking.
Yes, true. You don't see a lot of cooking with Penelope. Yeah, I love comedy. I really love comedy, and I think it's really important, again, talking about female-driven storylines, that people should know women plan stuff, and women have a lot of different angles, and this is an angle where I've just been a very responsible mum for quite a few years, and I was getting bored, and I kind of went, after a strong cup of coffee, I look at that pot of wax that I've been using to smooth my legs, and I just think, what else could you use it for? And then I sit down with my final draft and go, tick, 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 tick. It took me half an hour to write the script. And I went, I'm going to make that. And my husband went, oh, please don't. And I went, it's done.
It's done. That's interesting. So normally when you write something like you go, I can't believe I just wrote that. Let's see what happens. But you're like, no, that's awesome.
Exactly.
Let's do it. Let's make some calls right now.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I made those calls and sent it around, and people were like, oh my God, I'm so helping you with that film.
Was that done local?
It was done here, yeah. A lot of films are made in Wellington with very incredibly generous people helping out, because that's what we do. I mean, there's so much creativity in Wellington. And we made that film over a weekend, and then we had the most hilarious premiere. That involved all kinds of dress up and blinging and pink thinging, and I think there were some toys involved that were raffled. And I can tell you what, the ladies and their partners came out in the droves. They're actually fighting for tickets because I was expressing something that no one else had expressed, which is you don't die after 30. There are storylines, you just have to make them interesting, make them yourself.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that is an interesting one. I'm actually looking forward to seeing it now.
Oh, you should.
I'm quite curious. And what's interesting about that is when I read the title, I thought, it sounds like the kind of title that is something naughty, but isn't actually.
Yeah.
Or it could be, wow, extreme. But just from that description, you managed to pull in every thought of what I thought it could be and make it that without being too much.
It's naughty, and it's extremely naughty, but I wouldn't say it's nasty. It's still very much the bottom line is comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy who plays the binge drinking boyfriend is actually the sexy vampire in What We Do in the Shadows, a guy called Johnny Bruff. And he plays the drunken misfit so well that you love him, and you love that he is revenged upon because he deserves it.
We know
love you, Johnny.
He does deserve it. Sweet. All right. Well.
Yeah. Lovely talking to you.
I would love to go more, but following Vajazzle, I really can't think of anything.
Yeah, I know. Generally, that's a conversation ender. I tell people in bars, and they go, "I'll be back. I'm just going to have a cigarette," and then they go and because it's a 7-minute film.
I just don't think we can do better than that. That's sort of the
yeah, we should end there.
We should.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will end there, and thanks for sticking around. Thank you so much for making the time to talk to us.
Yeah,
We really do appreciate it. And check out. Everything?
Everything I said before.
Literally everything. That was even more than I'm used to trying to memorize. So check it out. Definitely go see. What was the
24 Hours
to Live.
Yeah, when it comes out.
We did read the synopsis tonight, and it looks really cool. And stay tuned for more because she clearly is not going anywhere. Check out. It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah. CW and then Netflix.
CW and Netflix, right? Go to Netflix, CW. You know what? We're editing this part, it doesn't matter. So that's it.
Cool.
Nice and easy. Sweet. Thank you so
guys.
much for that.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah.
And I had a great run for Johnny.
What did you do? Did you do The Shadows with